From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, Montana Governor Greg Gianforte says no more masks come Friday. Less than a week after Montana legislators agreed to remove business owner liability surrounding COVID-19, the governor says he will let Montana's mask mandate expire. Well, this announcement after he signed the bill today that he called a necessary first step to lifting the mandate. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian was there for the announcement.
Montana implemented a state mask mandate in July, and it's applied to all counties statewide since November. Now, Governor Greg Gianforte says he's ready to rescind the mandate by the end of this week.
As I've said, we will continue to provide incentives to protect the health and safety of Montanans, and we will emphasize personal responsibility over mandates.
He made the announcement Wednesday at a signing ceremony for Senate Bill 65, a measure that limits when businesses, healthcare providers, and other organizations can be sued over COVID-19 related damages.
This is a significant step in getting Montana safely open for business.
Gianforte had said implementing SB 65 was a first step before he'd consider lifting the mandate. Another of his requirements was that more vulnerable Montanans receive COVID vaccines. He says as counties start vaccinating those over 70 and pharmacies hold clinics in long-term care facilities, that requirement has been met. He also pointed to the continued drop in active COVID-19 cases across the state. Gianforte said while the state mandate will end Friday, local governments can still implement their own mask mandates. The state has announced they'll receive another 16,000 first doses of COVID vaccine next week and more than 13,000 second doses. But Gianforte said Wednesday he still wants the federal government to increase Montana's allocation. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Thanks, Jonathan. And a reaction tonight from Yellowstone County, where we've seen the most cases and the most deaths across the state. As of tonight, about 7,600 county residents are fully immunized. Q2's Russ Riesinger checked in with County Health Officer for his response.
Well, Yellowstone County's health officer is urging people to continue to make good decisions even when this mask mandate goes away. And he is a little concerned about what it could mean for the spread of the virus. But he says he's also encouraged by the progress that's being made.
I think we're in a good place right now. We've seen our case counts come way down. We're getting vaccinated. We still need people to continue to be careful. So I think particularly where people find themselves in areas where they're compressed with a lot of others, masking is still going to be important. We as individuals will need to make that decision, and businesses can make their own decisions as well. They can choose to say we're going to require people to be masked in our organization.
Obviously, there's still a lot of vulnerable people who haven't been vaccinated and are still in danger.
Right. The disease is still circulating. We're certainly pleased to see the lesser number of cases and the lower positivity rate. That's not the same as saying we don't have disease circulating in our community, because we do.
A little worried, though, that those numbers could start to go back up again with people not wearing masks?
Oh, sure. I think anytime that there's less compliance with the recommended preventive measures, we're at risk for disease counts increasing. We watch those on an everyday basis, and we publish them weekly. Again, we're still seeing about 40 new cases a day, every single day. So disease is circulating.
And you can watch that full interview in this story on KTVQ.com. Felton says only about 5,000 to 6,000 people in Tier 1B in Yellowstone County have been vaccinated, and that herd immunity is still a ways off. So his biggest piece of advice is even when the mask requirement is lifted, don't let your guard down. Jeanelle?
All right, thanks so much, Russ. Well, as the state gets set to drop the mask mandate, Montana has fallen just below the 3,000 active case mark for the first time since late September. This on the day when Montana surpassed 1 million total COVID-19 tests since the pandemic began. On the number front, the state saw 5 more deaths today, all of those out of Cascade County. Montana's death toll from the virus now stands at 1,336. Well over 92,000 Montanans have recovered, while active hospitalizations stand at just over 100. And now turning to Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh in the Weather Center. Well, it's still really cold out there. And that can mean some big problems for our batteries in our cars.
That's right. Yeah, we're 4 minutes and 51 seconds into the newscast. We haven't talked about the cold yet, but the battery, yeah, that's something that can definitely take a big hit. A fully charged battery, even as the temperature drops to 32 degrees, will lose 35% of its power by the time you get to zero. And remember, we haven't hit zero in Billings for 4 days now. It loses 60% of its power overall. So really, it's going to drain the battery. Some things that you can keep in mind to help out along the way. A battery blanket, of course, if you have a garage, be able to do that. Make sure you unplug the accessories. We plug our phones in, GPS, everything else. Try to make sure that those are taken out so during the overnight hours it isn't as much of a problem. And frankly, after 5 years, it looks like you'll have to replace your battery anyway. We'll come back and take a look at the forecast details in a few minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Ed. Well, there's no doubt cold weather is tough on vehicles. That fear of your car not starting on a cold morning is very real. Q2's Mitch Slade checked in with a local expert to help you avoid that situation.
People across the state of Montana have experienced sub-zero temperatures over the past few days, and that trend is expected to continue. Here are a few tips to make sure that your car actually starts on those cold winter mornings. Truthfully, you should have gotten a jump start on this maintenance a few weeks ago, but it's better late than never. Just ask Q2 meteorologist Miller Robson, who moved from Georgia to the Big Sky State a few weeks back. Miller had vapor freeze in his gas lines before the big snow last week.
Prepare. Be diligent with the cold weather and take it seriously. You may have lived, you've definitely lived here longer than I have, and I'm living proof that if you're not prepared, it could sneak up and it could bite you.
With the help of a fuel additive called heat and some time in a warm garage, the condensed air that turned to ice in Miller's fuel lines melted, and his car lives to fight another day. Jared McDermott with LP Anderson Point S Tire Service in Billings said a full fuel tank and charged battery are two of the most important things to have reliable winter car starts.
When you have a full tank of fuel, you don't have airspace in the tank where condensation can develop. You get condensation developing and those water molecules will run down into the fuel system and they can freeze and cause ice blockages in the fuel lines themselves.
And when it comes to your battery,
when it's sub-zero, that engine takes a lot more energy to get started. The oil is thick, and those pistons and everything inside the engine have to turn, and it's sticky and thick, and it takes a lot of power to do that. So having a good quality battery is really important this time of year.
Also, you should think about your tires and make sure they're rolling with the right amount of air. Lower temperatures also lower tire pressure by 1 pound per square inch for every drop in 10 degrees. Underinflated tires can lead to less traction on already slick roads. And on the subject of warming your car up before you drive, McDermott said to let it run for 5 or 10 minutes to let the oil warm up and move around the engine, or about the amount of time it takes to brush the snow off of your car. Reporting in sub-zero Billings, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
Thanks so much, Mitch. Now, if you do take the time to warm up your car in the morning, make sure to double check that it is locked so no one can jump in and steal it. Well, America's construction industry has two problems, supply and demand. There aren't enough workers or applicants. So the Montana Contractors Association is trying to solve both problems with one solution. Tonight, Q2's Casey Conlin shows us how the industry looks to rebound.
Step, step, grab, and then get yourself into the seat. Imagine that I wanted to come work for you. I didn't know anything about the machine, and if you're the owner, you're like, I've got to teach you how to safely be around the job site, how to get around the machine. These folks are going to have a leg up, if you will.
The idea behind Build Montana's new pilot program with School District 2 is twofold. First, it'll help fill a quickly growing need.
Our biggest issue, if you talk to a contractor, you talk to equipment dealers across the state, we don't have enough people to do the work. We don't have enough talented employees to complete the work we're trying to do every day.
In their initial semester, these 5 students will focus on machinery, thanks to a partnership originating at RDO Equipment here in Billings. It's no surprise most are excited for the hands-on portion.
John was telling us that we're going to have a dig it day with Knife River where we get into stationary equipment and just dig, so I'm looking forward to that.
But they also will have access to a unique classroom training method with universal applications.
The underlying curriculum is actually going to be John Deere University's online series around machines.
The series offers over 30,000 modules. That's where the second reason for Build Montana comes in. Giving students who don't fit into the typical college mold a potentially profitable alternative.
It opens more doors for me, that's for sure. Right now the goal is to college, but you know, if I can get a job before then and just to help pay with college, that would be great.
Give them a career lattice. Give them the skills and the opportunities for them to explore, and then know that they can have vibrant careers in construction industry.
About half of the kids that graduate high school in Montana don't go on to a 2-year or 4-year degree. And so we've got a great path for kids going to be doctors and lawyers, but there's not a great pathway into what else is out there. And so we're hoping this program is kind of that opportunity to open the eyes.
Especially now, while COVID-19 has slowed many industries, construction isn't one of them.
We're in a pandemic and jobs are really challenging, but we're still moving forward because the need is still there and is still great in the industry. So as people are looking for, what career can I find that helps me get through some of these hard times, the construction industry has had to keep going and really keep working.
Pull the other one down.
And it needs the next generation to come with it. Casey Conlon, MTN News.
All your steering.
Very cool. Thanks so much, Casey. Now, Gilbertson says they are looking to expand the program quickly. To learn more, go to the website buildmontana.org. Up next on tonight's MTN 530 News on Q2, tomorrow is the day to crank up your radio and help support young children facing a life-altering illness or disease. And tonight in sports, the new Montana State football coach straight from the Cowboy State. Keep it here.